YouTube Ozic going the Goat House is back with my top 10 prospects at every single defensive position in the 2025 NFL Draft. Excited to break this down, a big one. Let's get to it. Top 10 defensive tackles. We are starting with a little bit of a bang here because Ole Miss's defensive tackle Walter Nolen is my number one defensive tackle. Huge fan. I have him as a top tier prospect in this class. I also have Mason Graham as a top tier prospect in this class. So I already kind of hinted that I had Nolen at 1. And there were some people on Twitter and there were some people in the comments that were like basically saying that I'm saying that I dislike Graham and he's not good. It's like so far from the case. There is slight difference splitting, even though they're different, splitting these guys up. But Walter Nolen, my opinion, he is the best pass rushing defensive tackle, interior defensive lineman in this draft, and he has so much upside there. He was a top recruit coming out. He was good for A&M. He goes to Ole Miss. He's great there. And Ole Miss added quite a few pieces, but their defense went from pretty bad to really, really damn good. And I think it starts with this guy. This is the factor that made plays but created for his teammates as well. Solid stopping a run. Physical, he'll blow up double teams, but he's so good getting after the quarterback, causing a ruckus in the pocket. Even if it didn't count as a sack, he still made a big-time impact. He is physical, but he is so damn explosive off the ball. I value get-off speed, explosiveness off the ball so much for defensive linemen. It's a little more important when it comes to edge, and it really stands out with a guy like Walter Nolen. I could see him in the near future being one of those top-tier defensive tackles in the NFL when it comes to pressure rates and sack totals. I can see him being up there with those guys that are pass rush specialists but can do more from the interior. So reminds me a little bit of Jalen Carter, the way he explodes off the ball, the way he wins. I don't think he's as good as Jalen Carter, but reminds me a little bit of Carter. Number 2, a top-tier prospect in Mason Graham from Michigan. Such a unique prospect because the way he wins, the foot quickness and the lateral movement is insane. You just do not see his movement from defensive tackles really come, even in the NFL. So it's just so impressive. It's so unique that you want to call him an elite prospect, and he's right there. He's at the top for me as well. And he's got to be a pain in the ass for offensive linemen to block and just try to hold on to. So that's the beauty. I mean, he can do more than that. He causes a ruckus in the pocket. He stops the run very well. But at the same time, that being his big positive, that the lateral quickness, the lateral movement is just so unique, so insane, helps him win reps. It also can be his negative because there are not a lot, but there are reps where he's doing his thing and just shuffling his feet so much side to side where he kind of takes himself out of the play because he went sideline to sideline a little too much, and he's not there on the inside to be a factor for his defense. It's rare. It doesn't happen a ton. We have to nitpick when splitting up these top-tier prospects, that prevents him. He spends so much time going sideways where he's not giving himself a chance to go straight, into the pocket, into the backfield. So that would be the difference. Nolen is a little more explosive, a little more of a disruptor, just going straight into the pocket, into the backfield. So that'd be the slight difference there. And maybe those reasons are the reason that Graham maybe has underwhelming sack numbers, which I'm not going to base everything off stats there, but 2 top guys there. Next, Kenneth Grant, another Michigan defensive tackle. He's really not far off. I'm a huge Kenneth Grant fan. He's instantly going to help your run defense. He's a stud stopping the run. Just a big body you have to get by, a big body that's going to swallow blockers because you have to double team him because of how much force, how much size he accounts for. And that alone creates for his teammates, guys around him, if he's taking on double teams. I mean, that's fantastic, but he has more to his game than that, than just a run stuffer, just a block swallower. He could shed blocks and get into the backfield, get into the pocket in the passing game as well. He's had some games where he's flashed a little bit more. For his size, how big he is, he's pretty freaky athletic for that. He's not I guess he's not in general a freak athlete, but for that size, he can move. He has a high motor on him as well. He has a lot of upside. I think his ceiling is being a Dexter Lawrence type of player, which I don't know if it'll ever be Dexter Lawrence, but that style, that of impact, style of player and style of impact, and that's pretty high praise there. So I like him just outside my top 10 on my board. So we got some good D tackles. The top 4 really split themselves up. And Derek Harmon at number 4, he sheds blocks so well. Maybe the best in the class, just ripping the offensive lineman off him and then getting in the backfield. He's got to finish plays a little bit better. There's so many plays where the start of it looks, oh my God, this is elite, the way he sheds the blocks. Then he gets in the backfield and he slips right off the quarterback or the running back, so he's got to finish a little bit better. But if he can do that, I could see him being the best defensive tackle in this class if he just learns to finish a little bit better, because he does a really good job shedding blocks. He's got a combination of foot quickness and physicality. Pretty solid pass rusher, was impactful at Michigan State and at Oregon. So those 4 guys, but they are far and away, it feels like, ahead of the other guys. But number 5, I have Joshua Farmer. So a little high on Joshua Farmer here from Florida State. Freaky traits, freaky length. He's physical. He got doubled a lot, especially in the run game. So his run game, the analytics for the run game don't look great, but based on me watching, I think that's what I identified of being, the problem. But he does a good job when one-on-one shedding blocks and getting in the backfield. And he looks faster on tape than he tested as well. High motor, a machine off the ball, explosive off the ball. So I like his upside. He could do better against double teams. I just don't think he's going to get doubled nearly as much at the next level as he did in college, and I think that could result in him being much more productive. The elite traits and the explosive ability that you have to work with him just stand out big time and gives him a ton of upside. So I like him in round 2. I'm good with him early round 2. Next group of guys, Alfred Collins is right there with Joshua Farmer for me. He was already around this range in rankings for me, but he got a late bump up just because I'm just feeling the upside with him. Another guy that has some elite traits with the length and the physicality. He is already arguably the best run stopper in this class. He's going to come in and help you stop the run. He's going to give you a big boost stopping the run right away, and you wish the get off was a little more consistent, but I find moments where he launches off the ball. He's not super quick, but he'll launch off the ball, and he's got to get better in his involvement on passing downs, right? And that's why you hesitate to rank. You're a little hesitant to rank him super high because you want him on the field in those passing downs. Even though the running game kind of made a comeback last year, it's still a passing league. But he has upside there. There's a lot of tools to work with. He has flashes there. So he's a guy that, again, helps you in the run right away. And the right coaches, right team could work with him as a pass rusher from the interior. And if he figures that out, he's a guy that it could be one of the better ones at the end of the day from this class. So, but it's a pretty important part of the game he has to figure out. But I do like Alfred Collins early second round. Tyleik Williams, another really, really good run stuffer. Can shed blocks, at a high level. It's a guy you probably need to double team often. He's another one that got much better. Yet another Ohio State Buckeye that got much better as they hit the playoffs. So there is a little bit of a difference from them in earlier, career production, but was solid all the way through. Maybe wouldn't be a super sexy pick in round 2, but a guy that's going to help you stop the run and maybe could do a little bit more. Wish he was a little lengthier. But number 8, Vernon Broughton. So we have 2 Texas defensive tackles. I am going to be higher, it seems, on Broughton, much higher than the consensus. I even had a kind of a debate myself. Who's the better Texas defensive tackle? Collins is much better stopping the run than Broughton, and he just has so much upside if he could figure out the pass rush game. But Broughton is better getting after the quarterback, as a pass rusher from the interior. He also checks the boxes of elite length. I think Collins has a little bit more physicality, when it comes to traits, and just in general on the field. But Broughton has 35-inch arms. He's explosive off the ball, a little more explosive than Collins. Doesn't have the force that Collins has, but Broughton's a little tricky because the playoffs, he was insane. Even started to kind of get there in the SEC title game, but as soon as you get to the playoffs, look at the Arizona State game. I don't even think the stats show it, if I'm not mistaken there, but the ASU game, I should say, stats may not show it. He was a problem in that they could not block him. Arizona State could not block him in that crazy playoff game, and I thought he did something similar against Ohio State of all teams in the next round. Wasn't quite as good as the Arizona State game. So, and it kind of makes sense though that he just is getting going because he was behind for some years, some star defensive tackles, obviously. Look at last year's class with Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat. So it kind of makes sense that he's just kind of getting going. So I'm banking off that was him showing his true upside there. So I do like Broughton a lot. I like him in the second round. I think most people talk about round 4, like, is he a day 2 guy? I like him in day 2. I mean, it's a little risk because it's not a large sample size of really good play. Shemar Turner from Texas A&M is next. He's a little bit lighter than all the other guys, that we're talking about here, like around 290 pounds. So does that make him a tweener? Maybe it feels like he has to be a 3-4 end or a 3 technique, but this is a freak athlete as a defensive tackle. He's a freak athlete. He explodes off the ball, explodes into the backfield. He needs to finish plays a little bit better. He's not as strong as the other guys we're talking about, but if he finds that right role, again, as a 3-4 end, I would like. I heard the comparisons of Madubuike from the Ravens. I think that's a pretty damn good comparison. That kind of his ceiling, what he could be. He's got a little bit of a temper, too. He's got some 15-yard penalties, got ejected from a game as well, but he is freaky explosive, so I take my shot on him. Darius Alexander, number 10, the Toledo defensive tackle, long and strong. He had an interception against Pittsburgh, so he could drop in coverage, but yeah, looked really good at the Senior Bowl practices as well. So a guy that's he's a disruptor as well. He's a little older of a prospect. He's a big knows how to use his length, knows how to use his physicality, can help stop the run, can get in the pocket in the passing game. But yeah, a little bit older of a prospect, played against weaker competition. So where do you take him? But he is very solid, pretty athletic for his size as well. So that rounds off my top 10. There are more really good defensive tackles. Again, we'll have a spreadsheet for all my rankings a little closer to the draft. You have to follow our Twitter for that. Next up, a guy I really like is CJ West from Indiana. He's undersized when it comes to length, but he's physical and he's pretty fast. I like him a lot, but those are my top 10 defensive tackles. Edge rushers, pretty good group at the top, in the first round. A lot of people say it's super, super deep. It is kind of deep. I think people are kind of overhyping it when it comes. People talk about like elite depth from this class. It's not there, but you got an elite guy at the top, that's for sure. Abdul Carter from Penn State instantly would be a massive factor as a pass rusher. We don't need to break down Abdul Carter too much here. He already stood out long before the Notre Dame playoff game, but playing injured, going against that Notre Dame offensive line that's really good at pass protecting, I mean, what he did was just absurd. So that one stands out big time there. I have Shamar Stewart of Texas A&M at number 2. I mean, obviously the traits stand out. The physical traits, the athletic traits, I mean, just freaky. What does he have, a 10 RAS score? But there's more to it than that. I think people that don't like him, they don't like him because he doesn't have a ton of production, and people they say people just like him because he's big and fast. But there's more to it than that. He knows how to use those traits, and you can coach more out of him with that. He has a lot more upside because of it, but you see him explode off the ball. You see him win with power. You see him win with speed. And again, explosive get off is huge for me when it comes to edge rushers, and he has it. And there's even reps where maybe it didn't count as a pressure even, but he beat his man because the traits that he has. So I love his upside. You just do not see guys like this. When you find guys like this, you take them early and you work with them. It's not like, and he needs to finish plays better. He's slipped off some sacks, obviously, but he's right there. It's a guy you want to work with. I think even though he doesn't have the stats that the next few guys we're going to talk about have, there's more to his game than those guys, in my opinion. So I like Shamar Stewart at number 2. I think it'd be an early round 1 pick. 3 versus 4 is a battle. James Pierce Jr. versus Mike Green. So close. I think people knock James Pierce because he's thin, but he wins with power. He not an insane amount, but he can win with power. He's got super fast get off. He has elite speed for a pass rusher. He has production. He stops the run. I think people knock him because he's thin, and they automatically think he can't stop the run. I think he stops the run fairly well. They've played him off ball at times. He seems to be good there, playing in coverage. So this is a guy that, I think a team could use in multiple different ways, and he's going to be disruptive. There's some character concern questions. So if he ends up dropping to round 2, I think it's going to be because of his attitude. But people starting to move him down their board. And is it because the character thing? We'll see. Mike Green at number 4, a very skilled pass rusher, can win in multiple different ways. A very weird, intriguing prospect when I watch him on tape, because he'll go play after play after play with just insane pass rush reps, like spin move ones, different moves every time, getting to the quarterback, getting sacks, getting pressures. go like 5 straight plays. In my head, what am I picturing? I'm picturing the Virginia Tech game specifically. It's a pretty good school he's going against compared to who he's normally playing against. And then he'll have just like 5 or whatever or so straight plays where he just completely gets his ass kicked because he's a little undersized and the tackle is just throwing him around, putting him in the ground. And it's like, God, I don't love that. And you look at the last game he played against Louisiana, they kicked his ass all game. So it's like that sticks in your mind as well. So when he plays NFL tackles, is he going to get bullied a little bit? But this guy has so many different ways of getting after the quarterback. He's super explosive off the ball. He's very athletic. Even though he's undersized, he's pretty strong. He stops the run at a pretty damn high level as well. Probably better than most of these guys in this class. Definitely better than most of these guys in this class. So I'm going to value the highs more than, knock him for the lows, So, but if he's the guy that ends up being like insane at the next level, which he could be because his pass rush ability, it's going to say, well, yeah, it's going to show us like we got to, basically just watch the highlights with a guy like that, which you can't really do when evaluating. So an interesting one, but him and James Pierce are so close. I think Green gets drafted before Pierce if I had to predict. Donovan Ezeraku is going to be next. Super productive, playing in the ACC, so he's not playing, like on Marshall, like Mike Green, and consistently productive. Fairly solid against the run, not in Mike Green's level. I think Pierce is even a little bit better, but just got a collection of moves getting after the quarterback. Where he's a step lower than Pierce and Mike Green is with the bull rush, physicality, winning with the bull rush, winning with power. I think we could see a little bit more of that from Ezeraku, but he's a guy that I was kind of calling, late round 1, early round 2, but the fact that he just gets after the quarterback against pretty much anyone that he plays pretty consistently, I think says a lot. So it's a guy at a premium position that it's worth taking in late round 1. Number 6 is Mykel Williams from Georgia. I think he goes a lot earlier than maybe not a lot, but I think he'll go earlier than some of the guys we already talked about. He has the elite physical traits, the length, freaky arm length. He can win with power. He's already polished stopping a run. He's already polished setting the edge, which is pretty important. Doesn't have a ton of production yet after quarterback. I'm not really about the stats, but where I knock him is he doesn't get off the ball quick enough for me, right? But Georgia also tells their pass rushers, number one, we have to hold the edge, set the edge. So, and there are times, sitting and kind of reading the quarterback and again, holding his ground. That could be a legitimate excuse on why he's not exploding off the ball. But there are plays where he is meaning to do that and he's just not coming off as quick as the other guys. For me, if you look at the best pass rushers in football, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, we can sit here and list all the best pass rushers in football. You know them. These guys freaking fly off the ball, and they do a lot more than that. So I'm looking for the top guys in my rankings. I'm looking for that, but man, there are moments, and I've even seen reps of him at practice doing it, where he flies off the ball. So he has it in him. That's the thing. It makes me want to rank him higher because if it's that important, to me. Like if he can consistently explode off the ball faster, with the timing, he could be the best. Not the best. Abdul-Carr is going to be the best. He could be the second best edge rusher from this class. He can be. So that's kind of the knock on him. Played with a little bit of an injury this year. Take a shot at him late round 1. I think he's going to go much earlier than late round 1. Kind of understandable, I suppose. Number 7, this might be a little bold. JT Tuimoloau. It's bold because I think he's far and away the next guy. I think he's far and away. You have the obvious big names that we just talked about. Now, by the way, we're going to talk about Jalen Walker with the linebackers if you haven't figured that out yet. But I think JT Tuimoloau is far and away that next guy. I would even, and it's going to be bold as well, I would be okay taking him late first round. He does a good job setting the edge. He is super instinctive. Like he understands what's happening before it happens. You see him read plays. He stops the run at a high level. He's explosive enough. He's not freaky explosive. He's definitely more explosive off the ball than Mykel Williams. But a lot of times he's dropping in coverage or he's sitting and reading. He knows it's a run, so why get after the quarterback? He knows, right? He wins with power pretty consistently. He has the ideal traits. He's played up. He's played down, so that means he's scheme versatile as a pass rusher. Huge fan. One of my favorite players in the draft. I think people are starting to knock him lately. I think people knock him for his explosiveness, where he's explosive to me. He's not elite explosive, but I think people don't realize there's plays where he is purposely not getting off because he's going to drop in coverage or because he's going to read the quarterbacks. He knows he's dumping it off underneath. He knows plays. So the more I talk about him, I'm like, this is a first-round guy, but yeah, I mean, you do wish he was a little more athletic, I suppose, but athletic enough for his size. But number 8 is going to be Nick Scorton. Was a standout at Purdue a couple years ago, went to Texas A&M. Maybe a little underwhelming this year. It looked like he was holding a little bit too much weight, but he's a young prospect, 20 years old, a lot of upside. He's physical. He actually has different ways of when you see a spin move on him, which you wouldn't expect from a guy that wide as wide as him. He's dropped a little weight. Wouldn't mind if he had the weight. Could play 4-3-M. It's a guy with a lot of upside, and I think he can be on the field on every single down. So I'll go Nick Scorton from A&M at number 8. Landon Jackson from Arkansas. It is rare for me to change my grade on a guy after I watch him. I'll change rankings because sometimes you got 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys with the same grade that I've always had on them, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like this guy's going to get drafted a little bit earlier and be in a better situation, so I'll bump him up over the other guys I have the same grade on. But changing grades, I can't tell you the last time I did it. It's happened before, I'm sure. But Landon Jackson is actually one of those rare cases. The first time I watched him, he's a good football player. Lengthy, obviously, that's what stands out. Semi-productive. He's a little tight. I'm like, this is more of a third-round guy, maybe even a late third-round guy. Then he tests off the charts. Right, and I usually don't make too big of a deal, but it makes me watch more or go back and maybe even sometimes watch some things I already watched. But while watching more, I was surprised about the testing numbers because I didn't really see that the first time watching Tom. But when you go back and watch more, it's like you see flashes of him using those athletic traits, him exploding off the ball. Doesn't always do it, and it's a guy you just want to work with because he has the length and he apparently has the athleticism. He has the physicality, semi-productive. So I like he's growing on me, as you could tell, Landon Jackson. So I think he'll be that number 9 edge rusher for me, round 2. Again, I think Tui Maloau is far and away ahead of even guys I like Scorton and Jackson. So these guys could be mid to late second round. Then Braden Swinson, probably going to go in round 3. He has a lot of upside, though. He's an explosive pass rusher. He explodes off the ball. He's very athletic. He knows that he has pass rush moves. He knows how to get after the quarterback. He can tackle. He's not afraid to go stop the run. He does a poor job setting the edge, and that's what has me worried. He could drop a little bit because of that, but with more reps, he can get better at it. He's allowed a lot of outside runs, but some of these colleges are a little trickier with that. College games, or teams, I should say, are a little trickier with that than the NFL, with a lot of these different weird looks and different running styles, a lot more RPO, a lot more options, so it could be a little easier going forward, but he was at Oregon, and they didn't like him, and it's because you got to be able to set the edge to play for Dan Lanning. The Georgia background, it's all connected there, and he just couldn't do it. So that's not a great look there, but he's so damn explosive rushing the quarterback, and he can tackle. It's not like he can't tackle, so that's not part of the run defense. So I like his explosiveness. I like his upside. We'll put him at edge 10, but I wouldn't be surprised if he went in the second round. I wouldn't be surprised if he went the fifth, to be a little too much. 4th round maybe, just because the inability to set the edge, which teams look for. There's some good guys that just missed the cut. Princely Umanmielen would be next for me from Ole Miss. Very lengthy, long strider. But again, more rankings coming out through our Twitter with the spreadsheet before the draft. A long list of rankings. Linebacker rankings. Yes, I have Jalen Walker as a linebacker. You could definitely debate that he should be you could argue that he should be with the edge rushers. And I will say, I am a little more impressed with him rushing the quarterback than I am with him off ball. But why do I have him as a linebacker? He needs to be used as a Swiss Army knife. He needs to be used all over. In my opinion, when I watched him on tape when he was rushing off the edge, I think quarterbacks are looking at him, or teams are game planning for him before the game or even pre-snap with the quarterbacks. They're looking at him going, he's an off-ball linebacker mainly. Is he dropping in coverage? Is he rushing? So I think that created production for him off the edge. But he looks like a natural, even though he doesn't have the ideal physical traits, the length, as an edge rusher, but he knows how to, he can dip, he can blow by guys, he can go inside, but for a team to get the most, you have to use him off ball. You have to blitz him. You have to rush him from the inside. You have to rush him off the edge. You have to use him to me, you can't stick him in one spot. I think that's going to hurt him. So use him everywhere. He can be a machine, a production machine, Pro Bowl type player because how flashy he is if you use him that way. Therefore, I'm going to put him with the linebackers. Hopefully that makes sense. But he's pretty damn impressive rushing off the edge, went against some good tackles there as well. So I think an early round one guy, but he's a weird one because where do you rank him on your big board? Like there's teams that probably just wouldn't draft him because they don't have a plan for him. Like he doesn't have the traits for the edge. They don't, we got to use him in this spot. We got to blitz him. It has to be a high blitzing team. So he's not going to be for everyone. So where does he go? That's going to be very interesting. John Campbell from Alabama, like him in the first round as well. My only thing is linebacker, not a premium position. And is there that much? I mean, he's better than Schlesinger from UCLA, but is there that much of a difference where you take the linebacker Campbell in round one? That's the only debate I think teams will have. But he's super rangy, super flashy, super athletic. He can rush off the edge as well, but he's much better off ball than off the edge, but you're going to blitz him. He's pretty good in coverage. The only knock, he's a little lighter, plays a little lighter where, I mean, he'll run up and make a big pop. He'll make a big tackle, but there's times where he'll kind of get pushed back or the runner, if it's a running back, will kind of land on top of him, sometimes over the first down, sometimes over the goal line. So that's really the only knock on him, but a flashy linebacker that has a lot to his game. Carson Schlesinger, it will be next, a round two guy, very instinctive, really smart in coverage, really good blitzer. Like he's smooth as a blitzer, so I think he's got a lot of upside as well. Another one where he's not super, super physical. He, not going to land on top of the ball carrier a ton if it's, a more physical ball carrier. But it's a guy that I see with upside there. Could you add more strength to his frame? I definitely could see that. But a very smart linebacker, especially in coverage, but has that blitzing upside as well. I think he's firm round two. Danny Stutzman from Oklahoma is next. I think he's being slept on a little bit. Round two, round three guy. He is a gap filler. He can stop the run. He can read the run correctly, and he will get downhill and, on his run fits, he will make the play, and that's kind of rare for these days when it comes to linebacker prospects. He does it better than anyone in the class. So I think it's a really safe pick. If you need an inside linebacker, that's the guy. He's a little underrated in coverage. He tested pretty damn well. So he shows freaky athleticism. I think he has upside as a blitzer too. When he attacks the quarterback, when he knows it's time to go, like he gets downhill pretty quick. That's where you can see the 40 time that everyone was surprised about. So I like Stutzman a lot. Smile Mondon Jr. from Georgia, a lot of upside here. He's very flashy, very athletic, very rangy. They put him out in coverage on slot guys at times. Georgia did, and he looked pretty good there. He played mainly inside linebacker, which I am good with, but man, if he went to like a 4-3 team and played outside linebacker, I think he has a lot of upside there, but I'm fine with either. He has a lot of upside, super flashy. He's not going to completely get downhill and run through someone, but I felt like he got better at filling gaps, filling lanes as the year went on. So another guy that I really like that probably needs a little bit more love. People don't talk about his coverage skills that much. So those are my top 5 linebackers. Next at 6, we got Demetrius Knight Jr. His highs are pretty high. Like his highlight moments are pretty crazy. The way he gets downhill or the way he uses his range, and when he is determined, he's going for that tackle, he's going for that ball, he freaking flies, and it's flashy. I feel like it's a little hot or cold tape for him. There were some moments where, sometimes he sheds blocks so well, and sometimes he can't get off him. Sometimes he's a little hesitant to make up his mind and go for the ball. So he doesn't always have that approach at full speed going for that ball carry. But when he does it, it's pretty special. Chris Paul from Ole Miss will be next, Chris Paul Jr., and he's just lacking size. He's got pretty much everything. He's a guy that probably next after Stutzman in terms of reading the run game correct, getting downhill, getting in a lane, and making that tackle. He's really smart at it. He's pretty sound in coverage. Like he checks every single box. He's just severely undersized. So I think if he had the appropriate size, we'd be talking about him easily in the top 5. But which is, the size is kind of important at the linebacker position, but I guess it's less important these days as some of these guys are playing like they're like safeties playing linebacker, but he's very solid. And Jeffrey Bossa from Oregon is a unique one as well. He was a defensive back turned linebacker, and you can tell because by far his biggest strength is his coverage ability. He is smooth in coverage, and he's better in coverage than anything anywhere else. So that makes me go, like, why did they move him? Is he better as a DB? And that's really not a good thing if we're saying that, if he's a linebacker and we're saying that. But Oregon also had him playing more of an inside linebacker a bit, and he's just really not that great diagnosing the run correctly and getting downhill. He's not going to, the run fits aren't great. So what I need a 4-3 team to take him, and I need him to put him as an outside linebacker in a 4-3. So you can use his coverage so he doesn't really have to be inside. If that happens, he can be special. He has tremendous upside. He can end up easily being a top 5 linebacker in his class. But if a team takes him and puts him inside linebacker, I want to rank him lower than 8. So there's some things he has to work on there. A little bit of a drop off after that. Barrett Carter, they'll play a little bit better this year, a little rangy, pretty good at covering running backs as well. Another guy that's, not going to get downhill and blow up a run play too often. And then it was tough. Jack Kaiser, Cody Simon, they're pretty damn close. They're right there at 10. I was back and forth. And Kaiser's a little bit more of an intelligent player, a little bit more flashy at the same time. Very smart player, very instinctive. I think a little bit better in coverage than Simon. So that'd be the slight thing splitting those guys up. So those are my top 10 linebackers. Top 10 corners, Jahdae Barron, give me my number 1 corner. Him and Will Johnson fairly close, both very, very solid zone corners. Barron, to me, a little undersized. Outside corner that played in the slot. Maybe plays in the slot a little bit more at the next level, but man, the change of direction, skills, speed, quickness, you're rare to see what he has there. It's absurd, and that's in the passing game and the running game. So he's all over the place, and I think that'll continue. I think teams will use him in different spots in the secondary. He'll make plays. He's so smart in zone coverage. The only knock, he's a little smaller. Sometimes he stays flat-footed a lot and kind of waits. That makes it even crazier that he's able to bolt out of that standstill at times. That's really the only knocks on him. I think he's going to go a lot earlier than where people have been mocking. Will Johnson's right. The instincts from Will Johnson, ridiculous. He picked off a pick 6 on a screen this year. You know how hard that is to do for a corner. You have to know the play, and then you have to make the play, take it back for 6. So whenever I see that from DBs, I'm just like, that's, kind of gives me goosebumps because I played corner growing up, not at the level these guys did, but for someone to be able to do that, it's pretty crazy. You got to be intelligent and a lot more than just that. So, and he has more than just that screen pass against Fresno State, a lot of instinctive playmaking, plays, jumping routes, reading the quarterback. So you love that. I think where he's better than Barron, he's bigger, longer. He's a little bit better on the boundary, I'd say. They're both zone corners. They're both way better in zone than man. But there's going to be cases where these guys have to man up on a receiver, and I'd say, if they're both in a situation where they're manned up on a receiver and the receiver runs down the boundary, runs down the sideline, I think Will Johnson's in a much better spot than Barron. But Barron would be better in man versus a guy in the slot, like a quicker guy. So there's kind of two sides to that. But Johnson's super, super instinctive. Tackling's a difference, too, between Barron and Johnson. Barron's much better tackler, more willing tackler as well. Johnson takes some weird approaches, kind of upright, some off angles, kind of nitpicking here with these top guys. Trey Amos is next. I like him in the first round. Probably doesn't get enough love there. He's super instinctive, super quick with his feet. He's played at 3 different schools, which I don't view as a bad thing. He's worked his way up. He was great at Alabama, went to Ole Miss. The defense got elevated with the talent like Amos that they added. I love when I see plays of him in zone coverage and he will leave his zone because there's no one in his zone and he understands that. And then, he'll help out his teammates, or there's plays where he does that and he gets back just in time when someone leaks into his zone and he makes a play there. Like, just shit you can't coach. Like, it's just smart, confident football. So I love that. Really good in press. If it's today's NFL, press zone. If you can, teams run zone because it's harder for offenses to dissect. But if you can press with that zone it's game changing. So I like Amos a lot. Savone Revel Jr. from East Carolina. Him and Benjamin Morrison are pretty close to being in the same boat here because they both have first-round talent. They have both showcased first-round talent. They both are coming off injuries. Revel has multiple injuries in his past, I think even dating back to high school, but coming off that knee injury, pretty tough. So where do you take him? He's a little bit older of a prospect, and he's kind of like an upside prospect. He has the traits you look for. He's long, he's physical, he's super. I mean, the speed to size is ridiculous. He's a playmaker. He can jump routes and make plays. He can run with guys down the sideline. I think his technique, he can press, but his technique with his footwork and his hand placement on press could be worked with, and that's a good thing because there are times where receivers end up getting a step on him downfield, and he still makes the play because has ridiculous makeup speed and length. But the reason for, you don't like when the reason for that is he just doesn't have the speed or he doesn't have the physicality. The reason for it is technique is lacking right now, and NFL coaches are really good at fixing that, so that's a good thing. First round talent in traits all day, every day. It's just so much of a risk with the injuries, fresh off an injury and the injuries in the past. Benjamin Morrison is an interesting one because before 2024, he looked like a first round guy all day. I mean, good in man, good in zone. Even though he's a little light and thin, he's pretty physical, really good at reading the quarterback. I mean, he shut down Marvin Harrison Jr. He shut down some good receivers. So first round guy all day from that point. Then you go to 2024. He was not playing nearly as good early this year. For some reason, he was not playing as good. I don't, unknown why. So it's hard to imagine he's lost his talent. And then he gets injuries out for the year. So you have to deal with the injury, and the 2024 small sample size tape isn't as good. So it's a little tricky, but man, was he good. Locked down some games. Playmaker, taking the ball away in some games right away as a freshman. So I'm going to put him at number 5. He's probably not going to go in the first round, but he showcased some of that talent. Number 6 is going to be Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky. The fastest player in the draft, was the fastest player at the combine, so he had that speed to work with, which is huge at the corner position. He has playmaking ability. We've seen him use that athleticism, jump routes, take the ball, sometimes take it for 6. So you love that. You love the upside, what there is to work with there. There are a lot of plays where a lot of reps where he is playing like 15 yards off the ball. He's playing a little scared, especially against Texas. Matthew Golden, he was playing so far off the ball. He was worried about the speed, even though he has speed. And he allows the catch in front of him, and then when he has to attack downhill in a hurry, he whiffs on the tackle. I saw that pop up a little bit, so I don't love that. It kind of makes you want to put him lower, but there's a lot of good traits to work with. He flashes those plays. It's just a matter of getting him a little more confident, getting him to play correctly. Kentucky's defense is a little tricky to play in for corners as well. So I think he kind of can fix those issues, but I do view him as more of a round 2 guy. Azareye'h Thomas from Florida State. Tape looks good. He probably has the best press in the class. Super good in press, super good in man. But he is lacking that speed that you look for in corners in general, but especially press man corners. He ran 4.58, 4.59. So how often do you see corners work out when they run that? He's only 20 years old. He can definitely get faster. That's definitely possible. Me personally, I got faster. I think I was at my fastest when I was 26, 27. So it's definitely, especially with guys that are built the way they're built, it's definitely possible that he can get faster. It is more of a zone league right now, though, at the same time, so can he get better in zone? So that's kind of the question there. But still, tape looks really, really good. Young corner, a lot to work with, so I put him at corner 7. Jacob Parrish is good. He's fun. He's a dog. It reminds me a little bit of Max Melton from last year, maybe a little bit of McDuffie in him when he's playing outside, inside. He's 5'9". That's a problem, but you wouldn't know it by the way he plays. He's always up in someone's face. He's always making a play on the ball. He attacks downhill. He'll hit. He'll tackle. He's super athletic. Even though he's lacking the strides, he still has the long speed. If he was 5'11", he'd a first round pick. So I like Jacob Parrish a lot. Noah Williams, huge fan of him as well. I don't think he's going to go round 2. I wouldn't be against it, but I just been a Noah Williams fan for a while here. I watched him live when he was playing for UNLV against Notre Dame, and I remember thinking who is this Noah Williams kid? This dude is everywhere. He's got a combination of physicality, the nastiness, got that dog, but he can cover downfield. He's got ball skills. And then he goes to California, he's doing the same thing. Like, he checks a lot of boxes where he's a playmaker, he can cover downfield, but man, he'll get in your face, he'll tack downhill. Went against Iowa Manor, the Stanford big receiver, was just throwing him around, like he was nothing. So there's a lot to like with Williams. He's a little bit older of a prospect. He's not like elite in any category. I think he's kind of being slept on. And I'll put Darian Porter from Iowa State at number 10. Very thin, but long and super athletic. Experience in zone coverage at Iowa State, but he's kind of built like a man coverage guy, but zone's better. Where the NFL is heading, more and more zone every year. Eagles ran zone on 91% of snaps in the Super Bowl. Tells you something. So that's big. Teams just didn't throw his way, really, so I wish there was more of a sample size of, just to get an idea, but it's also good that teams kind of feared him a little bit. Tackling a little bit of an issue. Again, struggled is a tough part too. He was kind of just a special teamer until now this year. So what was the reason for that? So there are some questions. I'm a little more comfortable with him in round 3, even though there's been some round 2 talk. So those would be my top 10 corners. Top 10 safeties, and I'm very much aware that I have odd safety rankings, different safety rankings here, but this is what I got. This is what the tape is telling me. And I mean, I don't have any round 1 guys. Guys could sneak in there. I have basically all round 2 grades on these guys. So you're splitting hairs, and I could see any of them on this page ending up being the best safety in this class. So I'm not really trying to say this guy's for sure way better than the other guy. But yeah, in terms of first round, I mean, Mukuba has first round tape. Emanwari has first round traits for sure. Watts has first round playmaking ability. Starks has flashed it in the past, more so in 2023. So it's certainly possible, but Mukuba, number 1. The tape is just telling me he's number 1. The tape tells me he is clearly the best safety in terms of tape from this class. The instincts, the ball skills, the ability to make plays out of his zone, the ability to play free safety. He's really good for a split safety scheme, but strong safety, play that robber role in a strong safety. The ability to, he played slot corner quite a bit with Clemson. The ability to get downhill, fearless, make hits in the backfield, super instinctive across the board, not just the pass game, the running game. Just really, really stands out. I just love his game. I love his game, and he took a step up playing with Texas this year rather than what he did with Clemson. Texas runs more of an NFL-like defense, a lot of zone coverage. He's great in it. He can play several different roles. The tape is just outstanding, but he is 186 pounds, which is severely light for a safety. He has some minor injuries that popped up in the past. So you put those things together, you could sit here and say, you hate to say it, but you could sit here and say, like, there's a decent probability with his play style that maybe he'll be banged up and injured at times. And that will make him not be the best safety in his class. So it's a little tricky to rank him, but I can't sit here and say, yes, this guy's going to get hurt. I'm just going to go off the tape here. This is a ball player. This is a ball player right here. Nick Emanwari from South Carolina is next, and he has elite physical and athletic traits. He flashes he has flash plays due to his traits. He's played, in several different spots. It's just he has the most upside in this class. It's about which team gets him and how they use him and if he figures it out. He has some bad moments on tape. There's a lot I see him kind of just shifting, like drifting around, like through plays. That's weird, and he's just kind of waiting for the ball to come to him, and sometimes it doesn't. So he is severely lacking instincts right now. So honestly, the tape isn't that great. The highlights are pretty good, flashy moments. The tape isn't that great right now. He's just kind of banking on him figuring it out, a team coaching those crazy rare traits. So he can end up being number 1 because of that. He can end up being a star player because of that. It just doesn't all show on tape right now. Xavier Watts is a guy that is the opposite. He is lacking physical and athletic traits, and he just doesn't look the part. You look at him, you watch him move. Sometimes it's like, is this an NFL safety? But he just continues over and over again to make plays, consistently make plays, the best playmaker, making plays in the ball in this class. And typically when you have safeties like that, that are that good at getting their hands on the ball, they're not so good stopping a run or getting downhill, and he can do that as well. It's just where is he going to go in the draft? That's the question. We heard someone say, like, maybe a team, was it Daniel Jeremiah? I can't really remember. Say a team told him they got a 4th round grade on him, or maybe it was Matt Miller. I can't remember who it was. So where is he going to go? How much opportunity is he going to get? But he's got ball skills. I got Malachi Starks at 4, which I know is most people's number 1 safety. And he's good. He's a good smooth mover in coverage downfield. To me, he needs to be a free safety or a split safety, either one, in a zone-heavy defense. People say, well, Malachi Starks, a big reason he is number 1 safety is because he's so versatile. Technically, he played a lot of slot this year. So technically he's got time at free safety and in the slot. But he's not very good in the slot. If you watch the tape, he's not really that good there, especially in man coverage. It's a problem. I do not want him playing in man coverage in the slot. So is he that versatile for the next level? To me, he is a free safety in a zone defense. And look at the best safeties in today's NFL. They do so many different things. So, and he can come up and make tackles. He kind of slows to the point at tackles. He's taking some bad angles. There's times where it's more like effort. He kind of slows up a little bit. But yeah, I thought his 2023 tape, if I base it purely off that, we can talk about safety 1. I mean, I have the same grade on all these guys. So if he goes to the right team and they play him in the right role, he can end up easily being the best safety. He's rangy. He can go up and attack the ball at its highest point. He can make contested catches in contested situations against big-time receivers. Was not good in the slot this year. It was chasing guys mainly. The SEC title game was a rough one, specifically top of my head against Texas. I mean, he had several plays where he's just plain simple getting beat. He finally makes a good read, but he comes up and whiffs on the tackle. Just don't like him in man coverage that much. But if it's help over the top, then it's fine. So that's my thing. Him versus Watts. Starks is a little more athletic. They both need to be free safeties. Starks is a little more athletic, a little bit smoother of a mover, has closer to ideal traits. But Watts has actually done it. He's actually made plays on the ball a lot more than Starks, and he's better getting downhill. It's close, but he's better getting downhill than Starks. So it's tough for me here to sit here and rank Starks over Watts, but even though he does have more upside. So hopefully everyone understands that. Again, those top 4 guys, same grade. It's really going to be about which team drafts him. I think Iman Wari ends up being the first one selected. Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State would be next. He's a little tricky too. Season-ending injury this year. 2023 was really good, but he aligned mainly at free safety, but he's not super great or instinctive in coverage. He ends up chasing guys, but he's super good tackling, super good getting downhill, stopping a run. Instinctive versus the run, but not instinctive versus the pass. Can man up on guys. So he's a guy that was injured this year, played mainly free safety, that needs to play strong safety at the next level. So a little risky, but you could see he has the makings of being a really good strong safety. I could see him, if he's in the right role, end up being the best safety in this class. The safety class is one of the trickier classes I've had to rank ever, really. Billy Bowman Jr. of Oklahoma is next, a likable kid. I mean, he flies around the football field. He can play back end. He can play up front on the line. He can play in the slot, like a poor man's Antoine Whitfield, who was undersized as well, but type. Just makes flashy, big plays, always around the ball, always making plays. The knocks are he's a little undersized. He's severely undersized when it comes to the arm length. I believe he was actually had the shortest arms in combine history for all of DBs ever. The big thing for me, though, is he makes a lot of flashy tackles. He whiffs on so many tackles. I think the missed tackle rate was like 25.1%. It's an absurd number. So that's a problem, but he's going to make big plays when he's out there. And I'm not really trying to fully compare him to Winfield, but he's that style player, can make that kind of impact all over the field. But Winfield has had seasons where he's missed a lot of tackles as well, so I guess he can overcome that. Jonas Sanker, kind of a sleeper, not being talked about enough, from Virginia. Downhill, alley runner type guy, will blow up a play, will nail the ball carrier, just all over the place type guy as well. Pretty solid in coverage, too. A guy that's more of a strong safety, but could play split safety coverage and really good special teamer. He's, I think, a safer pick around here. And Lathan Ransom from Ohio State, he might be the best in the class when it comes to getting downhill, attacking the run. Super instinctive against the run, gets downhill, fearless, will make a big hit, make the sure thing tackle. He flies around, looks faster than he is in that category. So that makes you want to put him at the top towards the safeties. But then in terms of the passing game, I don't see a ton of upside in coverage. You could see the lack of speed show up there. So that's a little bit of an issue. He's really strong against the run. R.J. Mickens from Clemson at number 9. Another guy that's kind of being slept on. I guess he's not super flashy, but he's pretty instinctive in coverage. Definitely needs, I'd say, a cover 4 scheme where he's a split safety. Guess could play in cover 2, but I really like cover 4 team for him mainly. Pretty rangy against the run. He doesn't look super speedy on tape, but tested very well at the combine. I think just being underrated a little bit. And then Malachi Moore from Alabama, an interesting one because earlier in his career, like a few years ago, we're like, this is a future first-round pick all day. It's a stud that could play safety, could play in the slot, and he hasn't really lived up to that hype. But, man, it feels like he's always flying around. He's always around the ball, a lot of pass deflections. So maybe kind of get back on track to where he was. Maybe he has some upside playing in the slot more than where he did recently in his career. We will see. But an intriguing safety class, to say the least. So that'll do it for the top 10s for all the defensive positions we did. Separate videos for the offensive position. Check those out. We got more videos to come. We'll be live during day 1 of the NFL draft with reactions right here. Day 2 and 3 on our Twitter, so follow that. And then for more rankings, you have to follow that as well. Links pinned in the comments. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.